Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining Jenna and I. My name is Soila. I'm the founder and editor of the divorcemagazine.co.uk. And this is a place where you can find all kinds of information about divorce, what you need in terms, whether it's legal advice that's written by divorce professionals, legal experts like lawyers, solicitors, family mediators, Mackenzie friends. All kinds of people are contributing to the Divorce Magazine, therapists, child therapists, coaches. So whatever information you need there, please do go there. The people contributing to it really know what they're talking about. Today we have Jenna, and Jenna, I will let you introduce yourself, and I'll ask you questions as we go, so we'll make it more like a conversation.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I'm Jenna Korf. I am a certified stepfamily coach. I work mainly with stepmoms, but also with step couples, so stepmoms and their partners. I have some stepdad clients,
Okay.
and I just help them through all their stepfamily challenges.
Okay. I have to say, one of the things that suddenly, I think when you wrote, and there was another lady also who wrote, Erin Callis, who wrote to me about putting in some stuff on step parents. Before then, we didn't have much about step parenting, but now suddenly it seems to be getting a lot of hits about step parenting. So how did you get to be where you are now and doing the work that you're doing?
Well, first I became a stepmom.
Okay.
And I was working actually as a registered nurse, part-time, and then part-time as a relationship coach.
Okay.
But when I met my husband, he had 2 kids. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, it's so hard. I had no idea. Even though I was a stepchild, I had a stepmom and stepdad growing up, I had no idea. So I shifted my focus to stepmoms once I figured stuff out for myself. Once I was like, oh, okay, now I know what it takes.
Yeah.
So that's how I became a stepfamily coach.
And then did you take some courses on coaching? Or you said you were already working with couples, but yeah.
So through the Stepfamily Foundation, I took a stepfamily certification course and became certified.
Okay.
And that was in, I want to say maybe 2010, I believe, or 11. And now I actually offer a stepfamily certification course as well, because I realized after becoming certified and coaching tons and tons of stepmoms that there was a gap in the information, and that so I kind of fill that in, and I offer my own certification course for mainly step parents that just want to help others.
Okay, and is that course online, or is it? Do you have to be?
The website is stepfamilyhelp.com.
Okay.
Actually, it's stepfamilyhelp.com.
Okay.
It's an online course with we do it through video, through 6 sessions, through one-on-one video with myself.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm not a stepmom, but my ex-husband has remarried and they have 2 daughters, and we get on really well. So I think I'm pretty lucky in that way.
You're so lucky. You're the minority.
And we actually have the children having sleepovers. We do a lot of, we do stuff together, and they call each other. They love being together. We're really, really blessed in that way. And stepmom too. I have 2 daughters, but stepmom to my eldest. She is stepmom to my eldest daughter. And again, it's absolutely fine.
It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Growing up, it was also fine with my mom and my stepmom.
I was just going to ask you about what kind of stepchild were you?
Yeah, it was no problem whatsoever.
Fantastic.
My parents made sure to keep any conflict away from us, so I had no idea if they ever fought or not.
Oh, wow.
And my mom and my stepmom, as far as I know, always got along. We do holidays together now that there's grandkids. Yeah. So when I got into this situation and started having some conflict with my husband's ex, I was really shocked. I was like, everybody likes me. I'm really nice and I'm really responsible and I'll have no trouble. And it just didn't work out that way.
What do you think about this whole perception that people used to, probably not so much now, have of stepmothers? Because fairy tales and wicked stepmoms, there's nothing but that. And when when I went through my first divorce, my daughter, who's now 24, she said, I remember one time, I can't remember how the conversation came about, and she said, oh, Mommy, I don't ever want to have a stepmother. And I said, well, there are some pretty good stepmothers out there. And she said, like, which one? I couldn't find...
Right, who are you going to point to?
Yes, I couldn't talk about Snow White. Yeah. There was no one. I said, well, I'm sure there's some. we'll find some.
Yes, there are definitely many, I'm sure. But yeah, no, we go into it already with the cards stacked against us because of the bias and like the stereotype of the evil stepmom.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times that causes women to want to overdo it and be like, okay, I already have this stigma against me, so I need to be like super stepmom and be really nice and do everything for the kids and go in 100%. And kids are like, whoa, back off.
Yeah.
Like, settle down, you know, and the women get burnt out, completely burnt out, because that can only last so long, right? Like that high energy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's.
So what would you tell a new stepmom, or even one who's been there for a while but is actually having trouble still settling in, or not her, but the situation is still a little bit volatile? What advice would you give a stepmom in that situation?
I would definitely tell them to back off a bit, relax. Like, the statistics show that, or the research shows that stepfamilies take 4 to 7 years on average to settle in. So I'll have clients that have been stepmoms for 2 years, and I'm like, you're just getting started. Like, settle down, slow down, back off, be nice, be kind, spend time with the family, but have a life outside also. Like, you need to have your friends, you need to have activities, hobbies. You don't define yourself by being a stepmom. Your number one job is being a wife. Like, you're there for your husband. You didn't marry your husband to be a stepmom, right? You're with your husband, and now you have stepkids. So letting them know that it does take a lot of years for families to get comfortable with each other and to develop kind of rituals and norms. And like, no one wants to be pressured. No one wants to feel like, oh, I have to like this person, I have to love this person. And so taking it slow with the kids, and actually a lot of times it's not the stepmom so much as the dad. With very good intentions, dad wants his wife to come in and be mom to his kids, especially if he thinks his ex-wife was not a very good mom. He'll want his wife to come in and be one happy family. And it just doesn't work. Like, no one wants that but him. Kids want to get to know you. Like, who are you? You're a stranger in my house. It takes a long time.
Marriage to my dad.
Right. Yeah.
And how what would you say about, I'm actually, I have to say, I am surprised to hear about the length of time it takes, 4 to 7 years to settle into the whole makeup. It makes sense. I can see that. It's just the length of time that it takes. So when you say back off, or step back, or just take it easy and relax, what would that look like? Good
question. Yeah, so it looks like not having to go to every single gymnastics meet or every single soccer game or parent-teacher conferences, or being around every moment that the kids are in the house. Like, it is important for the kids to have alone time with their biological parent. So that's great. Go out. That's a great time for you to go out with your friends when the kids, for a time when the kids are there, not the entire time. It means not taking things personally, like not getting offended if the kids don't come to you. Kids automatically, naturally go to their biological parents. They will always call for their parent before their step-parent, especially early on. So it means not taking offense to that. It has nothing to do with you. It's just the situation.
Yeah. And what about one of the biggest questions is discipline. As a stepmom disciplining, or a step-parent disciplining the children.
It's so difficult because the best scenario is for the step-parent to not have to discipline. Okay? Like, kids don't look at you as an authority figure. They would be like, who are you to tell me anything? Like, I don't really know you. And so they would get resistance. It could get in the way of them bonding with their stepkids if they haven't bonded already. But that means the parent has to step up. Someone's got to be disciplining the kids. Like, someone's got to be parenting. And so often I tell the parent, like, if I'm couples coaching, I tell the parent, I'm like, if you want your child to have a good relationship with their step-parent, you need to parent. Like, you need to step up so she doesn't feel the need to.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to live in a house where it feels like the kids rule the house and it's a mess and they don't help out and they're disrespectful.
Would it ever reach a point where, let's say if dad's not home and maybe he's gone for 2 days, 3 days, wherever, and something does happen, if you turn to your child and you said, your stepchild, and you said, wait till your dad gets home. I mean, if they're coming back in 2 days, it's kind of like, okay, let's see.
Right. Right. Well,
what would you do?
If the step-parent's being left with the child for an extended period of time, like a couple days, hopefully they have bonded already. Hopefully there's an understanding that she is the authority figure in the house. Hopefully there's house rules already set up with consequences in place. But absolutely the parent needs to say, look, when I'm not here, you listen to her as if you were listening to me. Okay. And I always say, when you disrespect her, you disrespect me. That's what it's like. Like, parents need to be having these conversations with their children.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, to actually tell the children what the deal is. So they know, oh, okay, daddy's not here, but, you know, stepmom's here, and she's been left in charge, so to speak.
Right.
What about when you have a situation where the stepmother what role would the dad play in order to facilitate this bonding, this time with the stepchildren? What would you advise a dad to do?
I would actually advise the dad to leave.
Okay.
The step-parent needs alone time with their stepchild.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a lot. The thing is, the step-parent is an outsider. So the child and the parent and the biological parent are insiders. The only way for that step-parent to kind of move to the inner circle is for the other parent to leave. Because like I said, the child will always look to the parent, always go to the parent. And so that step-parent is secondary. Yeah. And you know how with relationships, every time there's a new person coming in that's present, the dynamic changes no matter what. You know, and when it's parents, if you're married and you have the kid comes in, your dynamic changes with your spouse. Okay. So if the biological parent steps out for a little bit, and I'm talking 5-10 minutes at a, you know, that's all you need. Over a long period of time, you will become bonded. Okay. I was just about to ask, how long does the other parent, does the dad need to be away to help? So it's just short, you know. Yeah, like I said, it takes years, anyways. Yeah. So you know, I used to pick my youngest stepchild up from middle school like every other day. The drive was like 7 minutes. That over time helped us. Yeah, I think that pickup time is actually really, really important. I always say I enjoy picking up my daughter. I did that with my eldest one. I would do that today if she was going to university. I would still pick her up if she would allow me. But it's just the fact that when you pick them up, it's like they just throw up everything that has happened during that short period. And a number of times when my daughter has gone on for a play date somewhere else, and then I've gone to pick her up, it's almost like she's had this lead on top of whatever's gone on in school, and as soon as we shut the door, it's like, oh, mama, you know. Yeah. Right, exactly. And you know, it's funny because for step parents, they won't automatically want to vomit everything that just happened with them. Okay. But over time, you know, my youngest stepson, I don't think he said hi to me for the first year that I knew him. That's a really good point. And I think that goes also for parents when they have traveled away and they come back to see their children and they don't want to hug them. It's okay because, yeah. Right, so exactly. You didn't hug him or kiss him for the first year. Yeah. He wouldn't say hi to me. He wouldn't really talk to me. He was so like shut down. But you know what? I picked him up from school. I'd bring him a soda every now and then, which we still talk about. Remember when you bring me those root beers? You know, now he's like 17. But those like 7 minutes every other day, I swear helped us for sure. Because eventually he did start opening up. So what would you tell somebody, not so much who's about to get into that situation, because we've already looked at that, but somebody who is struggling to actually like their stepchild? Because sometimes, you know, I mean, there are children and there are some children. I mean, I see some in the playground where I think, oh, not you. I'm sorry. I know they're only little, but no. I know. It's really true. And no one wants to admit it, but it's really true that some kids are really hard to like, you know? And I also know parents that were like, if it wasn't my kid, I wouldn't, like, it's true. Or a lot of parents are like, I only like my kid. You know, I don't like anyone else. So there's a few things you could do. Hopefully you can address the specific behaviors with your partner. If there are certain behaviors the child is doing that are troublesome for you, that are difficult to be around, that are, you know, like disrupting the household. Yeah. And so I do coach women on like how to speak to their partners in a way that they don't get defensive. Okay. So that's one thing. Another thing is, what are you focusing on? if you're ruminating about it, if you're constantly telling yourself that you don't like him, and if you're just completely focusing on all his bad behaviors, that's what you're going to see. So he's got to have at least one good quality. Everyone has at least one good quality. So focus on that. Think about that. Have compassion for him. You know, what is it like for him?
Yeah.
What do you think it's been like for him? What are his parents like? What's his experience of you been? What's his experience of the divorce been? And then try to find one thing that you guys can do together that's fun. You know, something that you're not going to nag him, he's not going to throw a tantrum, something that will increase your positive interactions with him.
And so how would you prepare? We've talked about preparing a mom going into stepmomhood, but how would you prepare a child, you know, in the event that, yes, daddy's getting married, or mom is getting married, and there's going to be this other person coming into the house. And sorry to put two questions together. And does it matter if it's a stepdad or a stepmom? Is there a difference?
There are some differences, definitely.
Okay.
First off, I would validate whatever the child is feeling. Like, the parent should have open communication with their child. You know, I know this is hard. I know it's weird. I know, you know, how are you feeling about this? It's okay if you're having difficulties. As long as that child knows that they can be honest and not get in trouble for their feelings or be judged for their feelings. Excuse me.
Okay.
Letting the child off the hook as far as having to like their step-parent or love their step-parent. You know, I always say, like, they need to be respectful. Like, you don't have to love or like them. That takes a long time. And maybe you guys just clash personalities. But you do have to be respectful of each other. So, again, I think preparing the child, just having open communication, validating whatever it is they're feeling. And then, you know, trying to, like, well, let's give it a chance. You know, like, I love her. She means a lot to me. She's a great person. Let's just give her a chance. And then for a stepdad, I think the biggest mistake that stepdads make are coming into the situation with an iron fist. You know, they're the man of the house. And so they want to take control. They think their wives are too lenient with discipline, and they really come in too strong. And the kids are like, who the hell are you? They're like, oh, I'm not having it. And so, you know, as a man, like, the biological parent, the mom, should help her partner figure out another way to support the kids. He can be a mentor. He can be a teacher. How else can he provide for that family without being such a big disciplinarian? And again, it's working with the couple. It's finding house rules that they can both agree on, so everyone is comfortable in the house. You know, it's have a family conversation and acknowledge that it's weird and hard for everyone.
Jenna, what are some of the emotions or reactions one would expect from children who are going into a stepmom, stepdad situation?
You know, I think it so much depends on how the parents are behaving. Like, kids take their cues from the parents. So if they see a mom who is alone, you know, her ex-husband's getting remarried and she doesn't have a partner, and she's at home and she's weeping and she's telling the kids she's going to miss them so much when they're gone, and it's so horrible when they're gone, and, you know, and she just, you know, like, that's going to be really difficult for the kids. The kids are going to feel like they're betraying mom if they like their stepmom. They're going to feel like they're responsible for her feelings, which they're not. And they're going to have a really difficult time. But if both parents can kind of be like, you know, you just get extra people to love you, you get more gifts during the holidays, you know, now you have 2 homes instead of 1. Like, I think it depends how they frame it. Can have an impact. But I think you definitely need to acknowledge, no matter what, that it, you know, remarriage comes from a loss. Like, it comes from a loss. And a lot of kids, of course, are going to feel that loss, and that needs to be dealt with. And, you know, whether that means counseling or just keeping the doors of communication with your kids open, allowing them to express themselves.
Yeah, I think when you say that, it's the fact, and also probably the realization that actually my dreams, my hopes of mommy and daddy coming together, it's never going to happen because of you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff or articles that say that kids always want their parents back together. I am here to say, as a stepchild, that's not true. And I know other people. The divorce, I was 7. It was hard. I remember crying, and then that was that, you know? And then I was introduced to new people, and I went back and forth between homes, and it was really okay. And I never really thought that my parents should be back together. They weren't, and that was that. And now as an adult, of course, I can be like, how'd you even get together in the first place?
You can see it.
Yeah. But I think it's probably true for a lot of kids that, yes, they hold on to that fantasy.
Yeah.
And certainly, and maybe that's why a lot of things change right after the wedding. Like a lot of people that got along with their stepkid, I call them stepkids before the wedding, as soon as they get married, like really right after the wedding, it becomes difficult. And maybe that's one of the reasons is because the kids are like, oh no, now it's really never happening.
Yeah. And that's a good point about, children never wanting their, not never, some children not actually wanting that to happen, because I remember one time asking, I can't remember how the conversation was going with my daughter, and I said, so do you sometimes wish that your dad and I would get back together? And she said, no, because all I'll do then is to worry that you're going to break up again. And I thought, okay. Whereas my youngest daughter, who's 11 at the moment, she made, a remark the other day, because she's really daddy's little girl, and, daddy's never going to go away. And we were walking down the street with her dad, whom I get on with very, very well as well. And we went into this shop. There was a gorgeous lady behind the till. And so when we left, I told him, wow, she was really beautiful. And he said, yes. And she was like, who? And we said, the lady behind the till. And she said, oh, yes, she was. And he goes, well, how about if I married her? And she goes, oh, no. And so we had this conversation and said to her, well, Naini, you know that daddy will probably get married one time, not tomorrow, not today, but at some point he might meet somebody whom he would want to marry. And she goes, yeah, I know all of that. And I said, so if you had a stepmother, what would you like her to be like? And she goes, invisible.
Exactly.
And the way I know her, it was because she just wants her dad.
Very common.
Yeah, it's just like she wants her dad, and she's like, no, Far's gonna be with me, and she's at that age, but now she's probably beginning to realize that actually it will happen. But when she said invisible, it just kind of showed just how you have to prepare them. You have to talk to them, because it hasn't happened yet, but she can't even fathom the idea of him being with somebody else.
And that's going to be really hard for her, because she's absolutely going to see, and things do change. She won't have 24-hour access to him anymore.
Exactly.
There's this, I saw this online somewhere where it's like, after divorce, usually this, like if you're in a car and the biological parent's driving, the child usually moves up to the front seat, and they're kind of in there together, driving along, making decisions and having each other. And then when he meets someone new, the child has to move to the back seat, and the step parent needs to move to the front seat. And a lot of times that doesn't happen, and the kids don't want that to happen, and they're very resistant to that happening.
It's very symbolic for them.
Yeah, but that is exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah. And what about step-parents who come in believing that they need to be the stepchildren's friend?
Right. So friend, okay, so I thought you were going to say parent. I was like, I think anytime you go in with an agenda, it's difficult. I think be yourself, like be nice, just be nice and relaxed, and I think being a friend is okay. Depending on the age of the stepchild. I think it's way better to go in there thinking I'm just going to be their friend than as a parent, because they certainly don't want you to be their parent. So
But does it also depend on what you consider to be a friend? Because I always say, I'm not my children's friends, I'm their mom.
Right.
Because just the way that I look at friendship is more somebody whom you hang out with, whom you tell secrets, whom you things that I couldn't tell my mom, and you hide things, and I wouldn't, if they did something that I felt their father needed to know, I would tell their father. I'm not here to be, we won't tell daddy about that, will we?
No. There can be no secrets. No. I don't mean friend like that. Like they're not your peer.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, your loyalty is not to the stepchild; it's to your partner.
To your partner. Yeah.
When I think of friend, I think of like, oh, good, I get to make them brownies. And
Yes. Yeah, I like that. Then in that way, yes. Well, although I really hate cooking, but yes, I am my children's friend. I had another question here for you. So I've done Prepare the Child, but there was a fantastic, I mean, your blogs are really, really good. There was one that got a lot of attention on Huffington Post, which was to do with step parenting. And you had like, that it's, I think it was something to the effect of step parenting is harder than parenting. Yes. And I think that's how I first saw your work. Let me just get onto that one. And you said why step parenting is harder than parenting, and you gave us some points on that. If anybody wants to have a look at that, it's on Huffington Post, and the title is Why. I'll just check it for you to be sure. Why step parenting can be harder than parenting. So if you want to have a look at that, please do. Doesn't mean that you don't come back to the Divorce Magazine. Okay, but look at Huffington Post and come back and see what we have too. But yeah, but Jenna, why don't you just tell us a little bit about why step parenting is actually harder than parenting?
I think because, excuse me, because you're in this household with this child, you a lot of times are expected to be an authority figure. You're taking care of them. Maybe you're the one doing the homework. You're the one maybe putting them to bed or cooking meals or just cleaning up the house, and you're missing that like really important excuse me, biological link that lets you forgive the child when they act badly, and parents have such a higher tolerance for something that you created, right? Like you created this thing. So you have like endless amounts of forgiveness and endless amounts of patience for them. And even though, of course, parents get, exhausted and frustrated, you have this underlying love for the child that keeps you coming back day after day. Most step parents do not have that, okay. Especially if they met their stepchildren when they were older.
All right.
I do know step parents that were in their stepchildren's lives since they were like 1 or 2, and they do completely love them as their own, and that's awesome. But for the majority of step parents, that doesn't happen. So that's one thing. Another thing is that, like we talked about the stigma, like your cards are already stacked against you. We talked about your daughter. The kids don't want you there. Like they don't need to please you. They don't need to like you. They just want their parent. Like they want the attention from their parents. They want the validation and acceptance from their parents. They don't need that from you. They're not part of you. So there's nothing that's connected there there's nothing about you that really validates them, So that's some of the reasons. Those are the main reasons, I would say.
Yeah. Now I was just thinking, trying to picture myself going into a situation where I'm a step parent. And I think one of the feelings I just had immediately when I thought that was fear of how do I manage this? How do I, what do I do? Whereas when you have your baby, you have that fear, but then you can't go anywhere. You have the baby, it's there. In this one, it's like, oh gosh, how is it going to be? How is it going to work? Are they going to like me?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you as a mom, like that's your right to make mistakes with your own child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Step parent.
Yeah.
You have this ex-spouse that might be telling their children, "Don't you dare! Okay. Don't you dare like them. They are bad people."
Yeah.
I will be really hurt if you like your step parent.
Are there people who really say that?
Oh my God! Worse. I'm being kind. Worse. Yes.
Wow.
There are some horrible situations out there.
Wow.
Yeah. I know of one mom who brought her ex-husband and stepmom to court and asked the judge that the stepmom not be at the house whenever the child goes to with no reason. I mean, the step-parent has their own child, they're a lovely person, but she couldn't acknowledge the existence of the step-parent.
So what happened in that case?
The judge said it was ridiculous.
It is, isn't it? I mean, really?
It's insane. Yeah, I'm just telling you some of the crazy things that go on. But yeah, the judge was not having it.
Yeah, and I noticed on the Divorce Magazine, there's a parent who had actually sent a question about when this step-parent alienation coming from the dad, for example, or the mom. So there, and I guess that's what you're talking about, when the biological parent who's not, in that, union is alienating the step-parent. And that's tough.
they're just hurting their child.
Yes.
It's awful. And the thing is I think a parent that would do that is not open to reason, is not open, like they really think what they're doing is the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but all they're doing is hurting the child. It's horrible.
What if I came to you with my now husband who's got, you know, children, and I was a step parent and this was happening to us, what would you advise us to do as a couple in order to deal with this alienation process or this alienation event that's going on?
Well, I mean, if you have to go to court, you know, and you have the means to go to court, then definitely do that, because it's something very serious. But I would just say, like, you can't let her rule your household, you know, like you have your family in your house and you're in charge of it. You know, don't let her make the rules for your house.
Yeah. Jenna, thank you so much. I'm so sure I'm going to hang up and sorry, I'm just looking at my questions really quickly. So we touched a little bit on one of the emails about, you know, having a conversation between stepmom and mom, biological mom, and how important that is. What would be, I mean, the purpose for that would just for the children's sake?
You know, it would be great if moms and stepmoms could have a conversation, could really be open to each other, for the sake of the child. You know, I know a lot of moms feel really strange sending their kids off to a house with a woman that they don't know and have never met. But at the same time, they're resistant to then sit down and meet them. You know, so yeah, I mean, ideally, it would be great. Sit down, have coffee. Who are you? You know, where do you come from? What are you? I just want to put a name to the face, or a face to the name. But unfortunately, a lot of times that doesn't happen. Love when it can.
Yeah, because resistance is futile anyway. You know, you resist as much. Yeah, it's
just because you don't want to believe that there's a stepmom. You know, it's like she's not a unicorn. Like she exists. She's here.
They're not going to go away.
Yeah, they're not going to go away. Actually, sometimes, unfortunately, they go away.
Yeah.
But try to embrace it for your child.
Jenna, thank you so much. Now, if anyone, I know you're based in the US.
Yes.
But you have your online course that you've just told us about.
I do. Yep. At stepmomhelp.com. I have lots of free content on my blog. I also have my services. I coach. I do most of my coaching is either via Skype on video or the phone. I have clients all over the world. I have a home study program also with lots of great tools for the people that just want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people can go there to find me.
And you've got a book.
And I've got a book called Skirts at War.
I loved the title, Skirts at War.
Yeah, it's about finding peace when you're either a divorced mom and the stepmom in your life is making your life really miserable, or you're a stepmom and the divorced mom in your life is making your life really miserable. And it's really just how to find personal peace in that situation.
Jen, I think what you're doing is really, because families are not what they used to be anymore. It's not mommy, daddy, son, daughter, and, you know, golden retriever. It's just, you know, that's just changed completely. When you have the children performing something at school, you find a mix of people coming at graduations. You know, this is my stepmom, my stepaunt, my stepgrandmother, my this, you know. It's just like a whole new world where it comes to families and the makeup of families that they are nowadays. And I think the sooner people realize that, once you divorce your husband or your wife, they're very likely going to meet somebody else. And it's not only people who are, you know, in their 20s or in their 30s, people who in their 50s and 60s are, you know, getting married, and even 70s, you know, again, after many years of being married. So I really enjoy, and thank you so much for contacting me and, you know, and bringing this to light. Not that people didn't know about it, but you said, you know what I mean. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jenna.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Thank you so much. So, and anyone who's watching this, please remember to subscribe to the Divorce Magazine YouTube channel. Just click on subscribe. It's going to be there. It was there somewhere up here. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please do email Jenna. If you're having issues with your children, I'm a child therapist as well as family mediator. Please do email me at soila@thedivorcemagazine.co.uk. Thank you so much, Jenna.
Thank you.
Thank you.